Clouds around, temperatures only in the teens. On the Money Matters Radio Network, I'm Marc Rosenthal.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-690-6464. That's 800-690-6464. Again, that's 800-690-6464.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're locked into Money Matters Radio, 1120 AM WBNW. This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston, the Money Matters Radio Network. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away, but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. We pride ourselves on being able to support veterans in their time of greatest need, ensuring they receive the protections they deserve. For over 100 years, the DAV of Massachusetts has helped thousands of veterans with housing, transportation, and medical assistance, and you can help too. Please visit dav5k.boston and make a donation today. That's dav5k.boston.
From the other law attorneys at Cushing & Dolan, here's something you need to hear. Most people think long-term care planning is something they'll get to someday, until suddenly someday is today. When a spouse or parent needs nursing home care and no planning was done, the costs can be overwhelming. Cushing & Dolan are elder law and estate planning attorneys who help New England families protect their homes, savings, and retirement, even when a health crisis comes out of nowhere. They've just released a new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. It explains what options may still be available and what steps you should take before writing that first check to a nursing home. If you've been putting this off, or a loved one needs care right now, time matters. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 to get your free guide. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide available this month titled How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. Mike, one of the many questions that people have as it relates to Social Security and Medicare is, What's the difference in terms of how much I earn based on when I apply?
Yeah, and there's plenty of confusion around all of this because the ages have changed over the years as we've made reforms to the Social Security program, and there's different ages for Medicare and Social Security. So first things first, for vast majority of folks now, 67 is the current full retirement age for Social Security, whereas 65 is the eligibility age for Medicare, and then you scale up or down your benefits depending on how much earlier or later you claim when it comes to Social Security.
An important thing to note, you don't have a do-over on this. Basically, when you claim Social Security, that is what you are locking yourself into. The programs where you used to be able to adjust that, they haven't been around for a while now.
No, and so, for example, if you end up claiming your benefit at 62, in addition to having penalties for how much you get in earned income, you're going to be collecting about 30% less than your full retirement benefit, whereas if you wait all the way until age 70, you'll be collecting about 124% of that full retirement age benefit.
Our guide is titled How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare, and there are two ways that you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by going to ArmstrongAdvisory.com. That number again is 800-393-4001, or you can request it at ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
Chuck, Mark, and Tucker with you as we kick things off today. Going to be a pretty busy day this afternoon in particular. We've got a Fed meeting, which is going to conclude with the interest rate decision at 2 p.m. and the Jay Powell press conference at 2:30. Then after the bell, we are going to have quite the firepower on hand for earnings with Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla reporting after the bell. Saying nothing of Visa. Between those four companies, you're talking about $8 trillion in market cap amongst friends. And so that's kind of wild, and that's before you even get to some of the other companies reporting, your IBMs of the world, AT&T, ADP, General Dynamics, Starbucks reported this morning. So you've got a whole bunch that are on tap today. In addition to that, a little bit of economic data this morning. Mortgage applications, as you would expect, dropped a touch last week as mortgage rates rose. And so the refinance index fell by about 16-17%. Purchases down very modestly, about 0.5%. So nothing major on the purchase side, but refinance activity is obviously very, very rate sensitive, in particular, in the range that we are in. But our top story to kick things off, a couple companies announcing some layoffs. Amazon in particular, got to tell you, they kind of blew this one. I got a CNBC alert on my phone when I was sitting down. I think it was maybe like 7:45 or 8 last night. And it was, Amazon mistakenly sends email, to people that they may be laying off tomorrow. So I guess maybe there's one other person who unfortunately ends up getting caught up in this because it appears that the email went out like 12 to 18 hours early, basically saying like, hey, you're getting fired on this day, but people still had access to their systems because they weren't expecting that to go out at that point. So 16,000 employees. This is in addition to 14,000 cuts in October. So about 10% of Amazon's corporate workforce being laid off in a 3-month span here. This on the back of UPS also saying that they're going to cut an additional 30,000 jobs this year after cutting 62,000 last year. And so you've just got this continued drumbeat of layoffs in the news. Couple others this week that came out. Pinterest said they were laying off 15% of their staff. Autodesk last week said they were laying off 7% of theirs. So you kind of got the whole corporate lemming thing going on, which is kind of the thing I get nervous about, which is, hey, company announces layoffs and the stock goes up, and other CEOs see that and say, oh, we should do that. And that's how you tend to get into some nasty situations sometimes. We're not at that point yet, but I do think what we're seeing here, continues to be this background level of layoffs that makes you wonder if you're ever going to reach an inflection point where things, kind of spill over and move up on that front overall.
You guys know the story on this better than I do, but Amazon's headcount has doubled, maybe a little more than doubled since 2020.
Yeah.
Quadrupled since 2017. Their revenues have kept up, no matter how you want to, or you could look at other metrics of sales and of sales and profitability too. So they've grown along every important dimension. So it's not unlike UPS, which where you look at say gross profit or some of the usual metrics and you see trends that now I didn't look at the whole industry and this isn't my area, but I saw trends that make me not surprised to see layoffs. Amazon, you don't necessarily see that. It seems a little more preemptive. Again, it's just a sort of casual, superficial observation. That's point number one. And the other, from the JOLTS report, we know that 1.6, 1.7 million jobs, 1.6, 1.7 million people are separated from their jobs every month. So while these numbers sound big, they're really a drop in the bucket, Chuck.
It is true, and this is something that we always come back to when we talk about, I think it was late last year, a headhunter firm, I think, Challenger Gray and Christmas, they always put out every month their layoff numbers, and there were all the headlines at the end of last year, layoffs moved up to 2 million over the course of 2025. And it's no, guys, there were almost 2 million layoffs a month in the course of 25. It's just they're not announced big name companies that those guys track.
Right,
so
right.
I think the point that you make, Mark, is the important one, which is, look, in any normal month, Amazon's layoffs that they're announcing here are about 1% of the total layoffs that happen each month. It could mean something if other large companies follow suit, and if it's, in particular, high-paying positions that you're starting to see, cut more. Hey, that could matter because we have a skewed distribution of income that is now causing skewed consumption, and that could affect the U.S. economy more, than lower-wage workers being laid off. But ultimately, I'm just not sure that there's too much signal here, other than the one thing that I worry about is, if companies as a whole start to want to announce large layoffs, it could become somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but we're not there yet. I mean, it's just not in the data that this is having any meaningful impact on the overall layoff rate.
You make a good point, though. Consumption is skewed toward higher earners. In plain English, spending is increasingly driven by people that make a lot of money. That may sound obvious, but it's not always obvious. Statistically, people are increasingly looking at that, finding it to be the case. So your point is, don't just look at and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but it might be misleading to look at just the overall number of layoffs. You need to know their distribution among income groups to get a sense for how big the impact of spending could be.
And just as a comparison, let's look at these two, side by side here, which I literally just physically did. You've got UPS cutting 30,000 jobs.
Yeah.
They are saying that the vast majority of these are going to be, quote, operational positions. So that's what UPS terms their delivery and warehouse workers. My guess is that when you look at total comp, I'm guessing that the Amazon, corporate employee is probably pulling down in terms of total comp somewhere between 2 and 3 times what the UPS guys. The UPS guys do really well if you look at total comp. I mean, all in when you're talking, full benefits and everything, you're probably talking about guys that are making somewhere in the ballpark of like $90,000 to $110,000 a year. The Amazon guys, like standard package, when you talk about them, they're probably like $250K with a bunch of stock options as well. And so you try to look at this and figure out, hey, what's the overall impact to the economy? And that's how you sort through it. But I think this does get at the fact that, hey, with these kinds of announcements that you're seeing, it's no wonder that when we get consumer confidence data that came out yesterday, hey, people are saying it's getting harder to find jobs. And I wonder how much that is being affected by the big headlines that we're seeing, just in terms of, hey, psychologically, it's tough to go through a hiring cycle when you're seeing all of these things about reduced headcount.
This is maybe it's a lesson in how hard it is to read numbers out of context.
Yeah.
If you hear the federal budget grew by $30 billion, most of us, myself included, either don't know or have to I know, but I have to stop and think about it.
I still have to think about how many zeros that is relative to like 30 trillion.
I mean, at some point, you're doing like scientific, notation because the numbers are too big to write on a piece of paper. There's too many. There's 12 zeros in a trillion. There's 9 zeros in a billion. Did I get that right? Yeah. You got to stop and think about it. You don't do that every day. I don't know. Well, I know.
Are
but
we
I have
getting
to
to
stop
the
and
point?
think about it?
Are we getting this is kind of a joke question, but kind of an honest one as well.
I think I know where you're going. Yeah.
We just got rid of the penny because we said it's useless, right? Are we getting to the point where we need to move the decimal point a couple times?
I was talking to someone about this. Like the nickel and the dime have to be watching their backs right now,
right?
Because inflation's going to do them in too,
right? At some point, like you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can't start. I mean, we're within not sniffing distance, but like you extrapolate out where we're going. And in my lifetime, we're probably talking about the U.S. economy being somewhere on the order of like $2 quadrillion. And like,
no, you do.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do quadrillions.
Yeah, it's called a revaluation, and that's probably self-explanatory. It's literally you're chopping a zero off or moving the decimal one place to the left.
I'd like to do three of them.
Excuse me.
Do three of them.
At which point we're going to have to bring the damn penny. Forgive me.
Then you got to bring the penny back.
Because what is a dime without a penny? A dime is 10 what?
Shroot bucks.
It makes.
I know. Wait. I'm sorry, Mark, but what is a dime without a penny? Is one of my new favorite. Like, it's like, we need T-shirts that say that.
Gotta hang that up in the studio.
Put it in the Louvre. What is a dime without a penny? Oh my!
But it makes the concept.
I know, but it's deep, Mark. It's deep.
Well, it's 1 cent. Like a dollar is 100 cents. The system is built.
What is a bunch without a banana? Like this is like we're talking about foundational stuff.
Well, it is kind of. It's like
What is a pound without an ounce?
You don't just get rid of the foot and call something a mile. At some point, we need. No, really though, you don't. You need the reference.
Right, you couldn't get rid of it. Then it couldn't be fruit by the foot.
Then we'd
fruit
all
by the 12 inches.
We'd all be
like it'd be a real problem. Let's take a quick break here. What is a dime without a penny? We'll think about that for a few minutes. When we come back, we're talking about ASML and the chip making industry.
The Financial Exchange streams live on YouTube. Subscribe to our page and stay up to date on breaking business news all morning long. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Social Security and Medicare are oftentimes lumped together, but may be handled separately. And depending on your strategy, they could shape your entire retirement plan. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Choosing when to start Social Security has many effects, including determining the amount of guaranteed income you receive each month. Medicare decisions go beyond coverage as they can impact premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and access to providers throughout retirement. Our new guide is called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It will help you learn how these decisions may fit together and how to take the right steps at the right time to build a secure retirement plan. Call us at 800-393-4001 to get your copy of How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. From the other law attorneys at Cushing & Dolan, here's something you need to hear. Most people think long-term care planning is something they'll get to someday. until suddenly someday is today. When a spouse or parent needs nursing home care and no planning was done, the costs can be overwhelming. Cushing & Dolan are elder law and estate planning attorneys who help New England families protect their homes, savings, and retirement, even when a health crisis comes out of nowhere. They've just released a new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. It explains what options may still be available and what steps you should take before writing that first check to a nursing home. If you've been putting this off, or a loved one needs care right now, time matters. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 to get your free guide. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Breaking business and financial news first throughout the day. Only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange is brought to you by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. Experience America's Caribbean and fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands while enjoying incredible beaches, world-class cuisine, and unforgettable sunsets. The weather is perfect all year round, so head to visit usvi.com and book your trip to St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John. Enjoy one or all 3 and enjoy the vacation of a lifetime. The USVI is America's Caribbean paradise. Plan your winter escape now at visit usvi.com. That's visit usvi.com.
Advanced Semiconductor Materials Lithography, more commonly known as ASML. They're the Dutch company that makes the basically ultraviolet light machines that etch the circuits onto all of the semiconductors at this point. They reported earnings late, I guess early this morning, depending on how you want to look at it. And they basically said, yeah, like everything is cranking. We've got, great new orders. Everything looks really good. New bookings look strong. They did announce 1,700 job cuts just because they want to get in on the act as well. Most of those cuts are coming in the Netherlands, with a few positions being cut in the United States. That's about 4% of their corporate workforce. But this is one of the main reasons why, when you take a look at what's going on with the semiconductor space today, some continued upward momentum there, and not just in the memory stocks that have been going wild over the last couple of months, but even Nvidia, which has been struggling to find its footing, up about 1.7% today, though the rest of the tech sector a little bit mixed here. And so it continues just to be this case where we're like, slowly grinding higher in the major indices, but we're about 1% above where we had peaked in October now, despite the fact that you've had all these big moves here. And it's just the fact that markets are very, the moves that we're seeing are very well dispersed. There's no cohesion between them where the index is just riding up, consistently like it did last summer. It's just, hey, this group of stocks is up, this one's down today, and so the index ekes out, a 0.25% gain, and then, there's a 2% pullback, and then we eke it, back out to, new highs. But ASML saying, hey, on our side at least, we're not seeing any signs of reduced demand, which, again, based on what we're hearing from Nvidia and Broadcom and Micron and those guys, yeah, it makes sense. That's not the first place that you would see the issues show up right now.
They're about 2.5% of the developed market, so advanced economy or Western country, which includes developed Asia, benchmark, which is maintained by Morgan Stanley. If you have a 401k plan, you may see an international fund that's benchmarked to the MSCI, which is Morgan Stanley Capital. EFA is it's sometimes pronounced, maybe you pronounce it differently, Europe, Australasia, Far East. So ASML is the biggest position in the most widely followed proxy for international equity performance. So you may see a little jump in your, say, 401k international fund or the international segment of your target date fund. Interestingly, probably not surprisingly, tech, though, is only 10% of the MSCI EFA index, again, the international equity equivalent of the S&P 500 from a U.S. investor's perspective. Anyway, excuse me, about a third the weight that tech stocks get in our benchmark, say the S&P 500.
Also making news this morning, and is helping to drive Nvidia as well. China reportedly approving purchases of Nvidia's H200 chip. Remember, this is the one that initially was not allowed to be exported by the Biden administration. The Trump administration, even for the first 7 months of last year, said, no, we're not giving you access to that technology. Then in August said, okay, we'll give you access to it. And then China said, no, we don't actually want it anymore. Now China's saying, yes, we will authorize orders for some of our major companies, but we're keeping some limits in place. This still, eventually does have to translate into actual sales. And so, look, there's a part of me whenever you're dealing with the Chinese government, I look at this and I say, okay, you've authorized the orders, but have you really authorized the companies to buy them? And so part of me wonders, there's, again, I'm always just looking for little ways that the Chinese government could say, hey, we're complying with this, but not actually, going through the spirit of what they're doing. And so, yeah, we authorized Alibaba to buy these chips, but they decided not to buy them then. And so we'll see how this plays out. But Nvidia, again, up about 1.7% on optimism that this will end up resulting in greater sales, even if there are those concerns about handing such powerful technology to companies that may, in a number of cases, have direct ties to the Chinese military.
Doesn't feel like our attempts are thwarting their advances. So it feels futile.
From what perspective? From what in what terms?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't ask any follow-up questions. To be honest, now can we prevent?
We could not.
Can we prevent? Can we prevent preventing China from getting their hands on, exploiting, implementing this technology? Feels futile.
You can make it very hard for them if you really wanted to. It would be something that is not in the best interest of Nvidia. But I don't think the United States really operates to do what's in the best interest of Nvidia. That's not like you and I do not exist so that Jensen Huang can sell chips. We don't. Collectively, we don't. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. So yes, you could make it, very difficult for them to.
These feel like half measures, though. I'm just cut off the exports.
Sorry. Again, yes, if you really wanted to, you would just say, no, you need to make this technology here and you cannot export it. And then you have to, to anyone, you can't export it. There are obvious reasons why we don't want a hard export ban. And so that's why originally it was, okay, you can export it to, certain countries. And then in the last year, it's really opened up to, no, we can basically, look, if you're selling these to China, you're basically saying you can sell them to almost anyone. There's probably a very short list of a dozen countries that maybe you can't. It might not even be a dozen long. It might be half a dozen. But beyond that, it's basically, no, you can have at it, and that's basically where we are. So that is where things stand in semiconductor world. Again, kind of this divergence we've been seeing the last month also, where semis have been rallying in tech, but software has just been getting pummeled. That continues as well as we go through the day here. Let's take a quick break. When we return, Wall Street Watch, and then Todd Lutsky joins us for Ask Todd. Get your estate planning questions ready after this.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Retirement comes with a lot of exciting freedom, but also with some permanent decisions. 2 of the most important ones are when to file for Social Security and how to set up your Medicare coverage. Claim Social Security too early and your monthly check may be permanently reduced. Missing Medicare enrollment deadlines might mean significant penalties and gaps in coverage. We have a new guide available called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It breaks down when you can apply, what information you'll need, and how these decisions fit into a smart, coordinated retirement plan. Get your copy today by calling 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request the guide online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
It happens all over Massachusetts. In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
This is Tucker Silva, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutsky from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And we're talking about last-minute nursing home lessons that can help save your assets. What can be done last minute to save your home and your liquid assets when one spouse is entering the nursing home?
So with a married couple, you do have more options than as a single person. But with a married couple, your home is not at risk because the community spouse living in the home is allowed to keep the home. Doesn't matter the value, as long as they're living there, it's not countable and non-lienable. They also give the healthy spouse about $135,000 to keep. It's not a lot when you think of the big picture, but all the rest of the money would be at risk. But at least a quick last-minute way of protecting all those other dollars, all over and above that $135,000, would be to basically transfer the assets, those excess assets, to the community spouse, which, by the way, is not a disqualifying transfer, so no 5-year waiting period. And then once that community spouse gets those assets, depending on their age, they can buy what is known as a Medicaid qualifying annuity. These are special annuities. They convert the excess assets into an income stream, and then it's no longer an asset, keeping the community spouse over assets. Then the community spouse and the sick spouse are under assets, and they're eligible for Medicaid.
Cushing & Dolan has written a brand new guide, especially for those of you who have put off doing your planning and are now faced with a last-minute nursing home situation. Request this brand new guide from Cushing & Dolan at 866-848-5699. It's called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. 866-848-5699. Or if you prefer, you can simply go to their website, legalexchangeshow.com, and request it there.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets are modestly higher ahead of the conclusion of the Fed's meeting. While interest rates are widely expected to hold steady, Wall Street will closely be watching Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's press conference at 2:30. Traders are also readying for big tech earnings after today's closing bell. Right now, the Dow is up only 28 points. S&P 500 up over 1/10% or 10 points higher. NASDAQ up 1/3% or 78 points higher. Russell 2000 is retreating about 0.5%. 10-year Treasury yield up 3 basis points at 4.253%. And crude oil up 1% higher, trading just above $63 a barrel. The chip sector garnering attention today due to a couple of items. ASML reported solid fourth quarter earnings with orders above analysts' expectations, while its 2026 sales forecast impressed. However, shares are down by 2%. Separately, reports indicate that China has approved purchases of Nvidia's H200 AI chip for the first time, giving authorization to several of Nvidia's Chinese customers. Nvidia stock is up over 0.5%. Meanwhile, Amazon said it will cut about 16,000 corporate employees. This comes after the e-commerce giant announced layoffs back in October of about 14,000 corporate workers. Amazon stock is flat. Elsewhere, Starbucks shares rallying over 3% after the coffee chain reported store traffic growth for the first time in 2 years, citing its turnaround efforts. AT&T reported stronger than expected quarterly results, sending shares up 4%. Texas Instruments shares are jumping 7% after reporting better than expected guidance for the current quarter. And after today's closing bell, all eyes will shift to big tech, where Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and IBM will unveil their fourth quarter results. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch.
This is Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you have an existing estate plan or are in the market for one, Todd Lutsky is here to answer your questions and help you plan for later life. Ask Todd is presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 35 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Visit CushingDolan.com. Now, here's Todd Lutsky.
As promised, we've got Todd Lutsky right here in studio for Ask Todd. It's your chance to ask Todd your estate planning questions. And we got the phone lines open for you. That number is 888-205-2263. Get calling early and often to make sure you can get in line, because Todd usually can only get through about 2 or 3 questions. There's a lot of information that he likes to convey, and so limited time. Again, only get a chance for a couple of these. That number again is 888-205-2263. And so if you've got estate planning questions, call so you can chat with Todd right now live on air. Again, it is 888-205-2263. 2263. Mr. Lutsky, how are you doing today?
I am never better. How are you? I'm worried.
Just a little disappointed. I was making a belt out of herbs over the weekend.
A belt out of herbs?
Yeah.
Herbs, yeah.
Turned out it was just a waste of time.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So what are you going to do? Todd, I want to talk to you a little bit about nursing home costs.
Yes, they're not cheap.
I've been in this business for like 16, 17 years now, and it's hard for me to keep up sometimes. Where is kind of the range for nursing home costs at this point, or even just, long-term care expenses if someone wants to stay home but still get home care? Like, what are we looking at?
So I think two things. One, staying home, which of course we all want to. We all think it's better. I totally want to. But if you're at a point where you need, 8 hours a day, or someone just coming in at night, or, something like that, well, that might be less than a nursing home, if you need that kind of care.
Sure.
But, to stay at home because I need 24/7 care, well, now you're looking at every bit as much as being in a nursing home. So, well, yes, I want the luxury or the benefit of being at home and not in a nursing home. Understand it's not cheaper. And so now, what is that number? Here in Massachusetts anyway, it's going to be right around $16,000 a month if I had to guess. I mean, can you find some further out of west of 495 maybe for 14 or 13, but you come closer, you could be looking at, depending on where you go. I've seen one as high as $22,000 a month. I mean, pretty fancy place, I get it, but so it varies, I think, is the answer.
When you look at someone who tries to qualify for Medicaid, does Medicaid pay those stated rates, or is there a different rate that they pay?
Yeah, and I think that's really the rub here, right? And the reason people try to get on Medicaid, perhaps the reason people try to protect their assets from the nursing home, one, of course, you could see how fast they would go away if you don't. But setting that aside, it's the leverage you get by being a Medicaid patient versus a private pay patient. The average cost for Medicaid, what the state pays, it's varying. It's still about $6,500, $7,000, maybe $7,500 a month, somewhere in that range. I give you a little range there because depending on the level of care that you need does impact the Medicaid rate. Okay, but in any event, to say it's 50% of the private pay rate is probably a fair bet. And so by getting on Medicaid, by getting the state to pay rather than pay personally, you are significantly slowing the bleeding of your assets for sure if no planning was done, and perhaps saving the assets if your planning has been done.
Talking with Todd Lutsky, we've still got room on the phone lines for your estate planning calls. That number is 888-205-2263. Again, it is 888-205-2263. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to get to your questions for Todd. Again, still a little bit of room on the phone line, so get calling to make sure you can have your questions answered by Todd. That phone number is 888-205-2263. One more time, it is 888-205-2263.
Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky every Wednesday at 10:30, only here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com. When a loved one needs a nursing home, decisions need to be made quickly. If you haven't started planning yet, get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. In it, you'll learn how to make smart decisions and avoid unnecessary expenses. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at legalexchangeshow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Hi, this is Chuck Zodda from the Armstrong Advisory Group. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as you prepare for retirement is missing important deadlines for Social Security and Medicare. You can apply for Social Security up to 4 months before you want benefits to begin. Medicare has a 7-month enrollment window around your 65th birthday. Missing that window may cause coverage delays. Something else to consider is that you don't have to start them at the same time. You can enroll in Medicare at 65, but delay Social Security to increase your monthly benefit. Learn more in our new guide called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. To get your free copy, call us today at 800-393-4001. That's 800-393-4001, or request the guide online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Todd Lutsky answers your questions about estate and elder life planning every Wednesday at 10:30, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Still got Todd Lutsky here. If you've got a question about estate planning to ask him now, the number is 888-205-2263. Again, 888-205-2263. Let's go to JP on the Cape. JP, what's your question for Todd Lutsky?
Well, it's a question, but it's also to share an experience, if you will, pertaining to long-term care.
Okay.
3 family members, which basically is my parents and my grandmother, needed to go to a facility after they received home care for a period of time. And had quite a different experience with the 3 of them. One of them was well-to-do and had care at home, and then went to assisted care. And then when you're needing the assist of more than one person to get out of bed or chair, you can't stay there. You need to go to the facility, nursing home.
Right.
So my point here is this. one parent, my parents split. One parent had done estate planning, basically had hidden assets, and when she needed to go to a facility, we found it extremely difficult to access a facility that we wanted, because one of the first questions they ask when you sit down for the interview is, how do you plan to pay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, well, I got about $20,000 and that's about it, well, then they say, okay, great. We'll take your name, give you a call when there's an opening. Phone's not going to ring. And then the other parent had long-term care insurance. So got care at home because it covers that. Got care in the assistant, it covers that.
Yeah, I
And
just
when
need
they
you to
went
get to the question, though. What's the question?
Well, the question here is, what do you think about long-term care insurance? Because with Dad's case, he got accepted right away. You want a room with a view because he had the coverage.
All right, so a couple of comments. I just want to try to answer the question now. So the answer is that I love long-term care insurance, and I tell people if you can get it, please get it, because I think it can provide not so much full coverage for a nursing home, because very, very hard to get full coverage for a nursing home because it just costs too much. Please try to get it before you're 70, because around 70, I think it gets really hard to get it. In your 50s, I don't sell it, but my understanding is in your 50s that yes, you can get it. Why I love it so much is if it's affordable and you can get it, then please make sure that you get enough to cover in-home care, right? Because they have an in-home care piece, and a lot of times that's why people get it. So I love that. I think the point being made here is that, yes, nursing homes are very expensive, and that's what he's mentioning. It is unfortunate that these nursing homes seem to discriminate against whether or not you have assets or you don't have assets. I do know that care is the same. You could have two people in the same bed, but in the same room, sharing that room, one getting Medicaid rate, one getting private pay rate, and the care is the same, because thankfully the provider is providing the care, and they want to provide the care the same. They don't know the difference. And it is unfortunate that they do discriminate, although they should not, because if you have a bed, they take you. But if you don't, then they do this. But I can tell you that, when you go there, you just simply tell them all the assets you have. Most people have a house. Most people, whether you did the planning or not is not the question. The question is whether or not these assets exist. And then at least that way you'll get in to the facility. But they should not be discriminating against, people who need a Medicaid bed. But they tend to. So doesn't mean I'm not going to plan. I'm certainly going to still do my planning. But if you're faced with long-term care planning last minute, this guide will explain to you how to get that care and save your assets last minute from the cost of long-term care. So once you're in a nursing home, you can then do a lot of shifting around of assets to save things. For married couples and single people, assets are treated differently, like the home, like rental property, like life insurance, 401ks, IRAs. They are treated differently. Countable, non-countable. The rules are out there, and this guide will give you those rules. Call and get it. It's 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. We're getting close to the end of the month, folks. 866-848-5699 or legalexchangeshow.com. You can download it right there. And I also want to mention our Cushing & Dolan Instagram page, folks. Cushing Dolan PC. Go check it out. Lots more information on there than we can give anywhere else. So please give a call or go ahead to Cushing Dolan PC and get much more content than we can give on our website.
Todd, got another one for you here. Let's go to Greg in Tingsboro. Greg, you are on with Todd Lutsky.
Hi, Todd.
Hi, Greg.
Are there various products for long-term care insurance? I just got pitched by my broker last Thursday about this, and what do I have to look at as far as the good ones versus the average ones or poor ones?
Yeah, so like I say, I am certainly not licensed at all. I want to put that out there right out front, that I'm not licensed to, provide information about long-term care insurance. I'll just give you my thoughts on what I've experienced. So, there are some that are really good, right? But they might be too expensive for you. I don't know what your asset level is, but, I tell people you got to have, $500,000 tucked away, I would think, to be able to afford the premium payments and not hurt yourself financially. Just my own comment. I don't really have a lot to base it on. And I would say, check, how much am I able to generate an income on my own? And maybe I only need an average policy. What is an average policy? An average policy could pay, $7,000 a month, maybe. That's, half the cost of the nursing home, maybe $8,000 a month. You find them maybe $200 a day, I'm guessing, maybe a little more. That's nice. I mean, that's at least going to provide help when you're ready to go to the nursing home. You only have to cover the difference. So I think that's helpful. And whether you're looking at this sort of more moderate life and long-term care policy, also look at either way, whether it's a fancy policy or a Cadillac or a moderate one, see if it has in-home care. Because I think the goal is that, people want to stay at home as much as they possibly can. And so they would provide some kind of a payment for in-home care. So look for that as a possibility. And then I've heard other people mention that there are these hybrid policies where there's some kind of a life insurance component that exists with the long-term care component. So I guess if you don't use up all the money, during life for your long-term care, when you die, there's some kind of a payout for long-term care insurance. For life insurance. So that might be something to look at. But I don't really have any other ideas on that. And again, that's just my thoughts.
Todd, any other major considerations for people if they're trying to prioritize accounting for long-term care costs in their estate planning?
Yeah, I think when you're doing your trust funding, and maybe that's what you mean by prioritize, what should go in a trust and maybe what should stay out of a trust.
Sure.
So I always tell folks that, you can't put an IRA in. You cannot put a 401k in. There's going to be a huge income tax hit. So please leave that outside the trust. I always want you to leave your personal bank account outside the trust, the one that's receiving your direct deposits, Social Security or pension. Please don't put that in the trust. That'll cause all kind of nightmares for you. So you have that fund money. Almost everything else, I'd probably move. House, rental property, I'd move. I'd put, my taxable investment portfolio in there. Why not? Get it all protected. Live on the assets outside the trust, live on the IRA. It's at risk anyway, and saving it for the kids results in a much bigger income tax to them than you. So there you go.
Mr. Lutsky, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
This has been Ask Todd on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. Ask Todd with Todd Lutsky has been presented by Cushing & Dolan, serving Massachusetts and New England for more than 30 years, helping families with estate and tax planning, Medicaid planning, and probate law. Call 800-393-4001 or visit CushingDolan.com. The views expressed in this segment are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Armstrong Advisory does not provide any legal or tax advice. Please consult with your legal or tax advisor on such matters. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Still a bunch to come as we get towards hour 2. We're going to be previewing this afternoon's Federal Reserve meeting and Jay Powell press conference. We'll also be talking about Microsoft and Meta earnings. Those are happening this afternoon as well. Beyond that, going to be doing a little bit of chatter about what's going on with homeowners insurance. We know it's been an area that has been concerning to a lot of people over the last several years. We'll discuss where the next few may end up going. Quick break, hour 2 in just a bit.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Have you saved enough for retirement? This is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. The advisors at our firm have 150 years of combined experience in the financial services sector, and they all work together to help you develop a unique financial plan that offers investment management, financial planning, tax strategies, and retirement planning. It's our goal to help you position your assets and give you peace of mind. Having a solid retirement strategy and investment plan becomes more important as you age, so visit us today at armstrongadvisory.com and sign up for a free, no-obligation planning session. Just click the Get Started button at the top right corner of the homepage, and you can select the day and time that works best for you. Go to armstrongadvisory.com and let us develop a plan to help you secure your financial future. Again, that's armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. This is the Money Matters Radio Network. WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away, but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group. We have a guide available this month titled How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. Mike, when we talk about actually determining when to apply, there are a few different factors that go into it, but I think really the specifics of, hey, if I want money at date X, when do I apply is kind of at the crux of this.
Oh, sure. And, oftentimes when you go to apply, they will actually tell you that they're backdating your application to the date that you apply. And so your first check might include a few checks of Social Security. You do have to be specific about when you request the actual start date. The good news is you do get a prorated increase for, we talk about this in years, but you do get a prorated increase for every month that you end up delaying your Social Security benefit, and you can be highly specific about when you actually want the income to start.
How does one go about determining what age they actually should start Social Security?
Yeah, look, every actuary out there will tell you this is all a life expectancy question and calculation. I'll tell you there's more to it than that, but it is highly specific to each individual. When am I retiring? When is my spouse retiring? When do I actually need this money to kick in? And what is my backup plan for covering my expenses if it doesn't kick in right away? So yes, life expectancy, a major factor in the decision, but there are other questions to be answered as well.
Our guide is titled How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare, and the ways that you can request it, there's two of them. First, you can call 800-393-4001. The second way, you can go to ArmstrongAdvisory.com. Again, that phone number is 800-393-4001, or request the guide online at ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. From the elder law attorneys at Cushing & Dolan, here's something you need to hear. Most people think long-term care planning is something they'll get to someday, until suddenly someday is today. When a spouse or parent needs nursing home care and no planning was done, the costs can be overwhelming. Cushing & Dolan are elder law and estate planning attorneys who help New England families protect their homes, savings, and retirement, even when a health crisis comes out of nowhere. They've just released a new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. It explains what options may still be available and what steps you should take before writing that first check to a nursing home. If you've been putting this off, or a loved one needs care right now, time matters. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 to get your free guide. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
It happens all over Massachusetts. In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Marc Fandetti.
Chuck, Marc, and Tucker with you here on a Federal Reserve Wednesday. The Fed is going to be announcing interest rate policy at 2 p.m. Jay Powell will be giving a nice little press conference with a purple tie at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And thus far, market's not really doing much of anything in the aggregate, but again, a lot swirling under the surface right now. The S&P 500, up 5 points. Again, pretty quiet. The Dow Jones, up 41 points. NASDAQ Composite up 38 points, so about a 0.1% rise across your major U.S. indices. 10-year Treasury selling off very modestly, up 2.8 basis points to 4.251%. Mortgage rates continuing to hold in that kind of 6.1 to 6.2 range. Right now it's 6.15%, according to Mortgage News Daily. Taking a look at other markets, the dollar index bouncing back a bit on comments from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent today that the U.S. does want a strong dollar. So the dollar index back up 0.25% after falling more than 3% over the last week and a half or so. And we've got gold, despite that, continuing to rip along with other precious metals. Gold's up another $189 an ounce to $52.71 Silver up another 6.5%. And we've got crude oil up about 1% today on West Texas Intermediate, 62 cents a barrel to 63.01. This on a post from President Trump this morning, warning Iran of additional military action if certain items related to their nuclear program and other items are not fulfilled by Iran. So you've got crude oil up a touch. Gas prices, though, down 0.9 cents overnight. This on a little bit of improvement as far as refinery capacity in the U.S. as the extreme cold has abated in some parts of the country. But, Mark, all eyes this afternoon are going to be on the Federal Reserve, and quite honestly, I think this is going to be the technical term is a really useless meeting. The Fed most likely is not going to make any policy changes.
No.
On top of that, I think that the Jay Powell press conference is going to be dominated by questions about the Fed's independence that he typically doesn't want to answer during a live Q&A.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we're going to get any particularly interesting information because no one's going to want to ask about monetary policy. Everyone's going to want to ask about Fed independence. And we're going to be left sitting here having Jay Powell say, I can't answer that at the moment right now.
Yeah, I think that's the game for journalists who are looking to up their profile.
They want the scoops.
You bait him. You say, the president said your mother was a bad cook, Mr. Chairman. Any comment? Or something like that to bait him. And, of course, he's not going to. He said what he had to say. He'll probably refer them to his video. Look, this is a vitally important issue. This is, if you're into monetary policy, and this is a specialization in and of itself. So
sure.
Generalists like us, we only scratch the surface. But this is the most important issue probably of our lifetimes in terms of stability of the financial system, the independence of the Fed, because we know what can happen when politicians get their hands on controlling the money supply, namely inflation, instability. It's bad for everything. So this is a critical, and you can't underscore it enough, issue that's probably not going to be talked about today.
So ultimately, we're going to be left with a Fed meeting that I don't think is really going to provide us any useful, actionable insight. I think that, look, anytime you're talking about the Fed, it comes down to the balance between two things. It's their dual mandate. We want to, provide maximum employment and price stability. And looking at where we are right now, the employment side of the ledger is the one where I think in the last 6 months, I've personally had the larger questions about where that's going in the short term. There are some signs that maybe we've got some green shoots on the employment side of things, as continuing unemployment claims have been flat year over year for the first 2 weeks of this year. This compared to the last several years where we've seen continuing unemployment claims rising about 4 to 6% year over year. So you sit there and you say, okay, is there something that's maybe turning the corner on the employment side? Don't know. It's not really supported by much other data at this point, but weekly claims tend to be one of the first signs that something is changing in the labor market. And so maybe you've got something that's happening there. We'll need another 4 to 6 weeks to be able to tell if there's really some meat on that bone. So I think that's the state of play with the labor market. But if that's the case, especially the Fed would sit there and say, yeah, we've now done an additional 75 basis points in cuts. We're going to give this a little bit of time to sink in and see if anything is needed, because the situation certainly doesn't appear to be exponentially worsening. It's not the kind of move you normally see in a recessionary labor market where unemployment spikes up rapidly. It came in by 0.2% in the most recent jobs report. So I think they're kind of wait and see on that side, and that there's nothing that would be out there saying, yes, you need to cut right now. On the hike side, okay, we've gotten a bunch of, kind of back data now from the October-November timeframe from CPI, PPI, PCE. That data's come in at this point. There's nothing in there that you look at where you're like, okay, Fed's got a hike, so ultimately it kind of gets you to a place where it's, by and large expected. They're not going to do anything on the monetary policy side of things. We don't get a summary of economic projections this month, so there's no dot plot telling us what they're thinking about future growth or inflation or anything. And as we discussed, the Q&A session with Jay Powell is probably going to be next to worthless. So, I don't know. Do you just kind of take a nap from 2 to 3:30 today instead? I mean, I won't. I have to watch what's going on. But, normally you can at least glean, I always pull, there's usually 2 or 3 quotes in the press conference that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'm just not sure we're even going to get that today.
Yeah, I mean, you could think of the Fed's job, I don't know if this analogy works, I've probably used it before, as calibrating calories to your weight loss goal. You have this ideal
I like
goal.
the thermostat one better.
That's another, this notion of feedback.
Can we do that? Because it's been kind of a heavy month with the holidays and everything.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's a sore subject for some people.
Yeah.
So you could think of the Fed as a thermostat, cooling the economy when it runs too hot and doing the opposite. And vice versa, I should say. The problem is that the ideal temperature is always changing because the structure of the economy is changing. So you don't know. Sometimes you hear the phrase neutral or natural rate of interest, also referred to as R-star, unhelpfully. All these things mean the same thing. You hear that thrown around. What they're trying to get at there is that there is, in theory, this ideal rate of interest that keeps inflation at bay but doesn't stifle the economy. The problem is we don't know what unemployment rate represents an economy that's operating at potential, neither stifled nor stimulated. Is it 4.4% where unemployment sits today, or is that too low given the economy's productive capacity? It's a question that can't be answered because you don't know what the economy's productive capacity, also referred to confusingly as the supply side of the economy, if you prefer to think in those terms. We don't know what that is day to day. You can infer it from the fact that inflation's not rising and unemployment is stable. Well, maybe we're at the sweet spot. The Fed's got to be looking ahead, though, because their policy changes have take effect with a lag. What they do today affects the economy in 1 to several quarters from now. That's just the nature of monetary policy.
Let's take a quick break. When we return, we've got trivia, and then a piece from the Wall Street Journal asks, does this bull market have room to run? We'll try to answer that question after this.
The Financial Exchange is now available every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Stay informed about the latest from Wall Street, fiscal policy, and breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network. When a loved one needs a nursing home, decisions need to be made quickly. If you haven't started planning yet, get Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. In it, you'll learn how to make smart decisions and avoid unnecessary expenses. Call 866-848-5699 to get your free guide today. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, I'm Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts provides thousands of hours of voluntary services at our VA medical centers and soldiers' homes and is the only DAV department in the country to lead a veterans housing initiative for both single veterans and those with families. These programs are critical to serving our veterans in their time of need. You can help our great American heroes by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Social Security and Medicare are oftentimes lumped together, but may be handled separately. And depending on your strategy, they could shape your entire retirement plan. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Choosing when to start Social Security has many effects, including determining the amount of guaranteed income you receive each month. Medicare decisions go beyond coverage as they can impact premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and access to providers throughout retirement. Our new guide is called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It will help you learn how these decisions may fit together and how to take the right steps at the right time to build a secure retirement plan. Call us at 800-393-4001 to get your copy of How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away, but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women, taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit GoRedForWomen.org today to learn more.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Subscribe to our page and get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
It's time for trivia here on the Financial Exchange. On this day in 1985, Michael Jackson, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, and many of the 80s biggest pop stars came together to record the charity single, We Are the World. Of all the names that appeared on the single, one stands out for not being a pop star at all. In fact, he was a comedic actor known mostly for his stint on SNL. So our trivia question today is, who is the random inclusion on the We Are the World single? Once again, who is the random inclusion on the We Are the World single? Be the third person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the third correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Marc, there's a piece in the Wall Street Journal. It has the headline, Does this bull market have room to run? Answer it for us.
Sure. I think, summarize the optimist or the pro argument, which is, if you look at something like a PE multiple, we say that fast, and it's easy to lose sight of the fact that PE is a ratio, is a quotient. You know, there's a numerator, and then you divide it by the denominator. P is in the numerator, and E is in the bottom. PEs are very high, and that's usually interpreted as investors being exuberant about something.
Sure.
So they're willing to pay more for future earnings. If earnings catch up, say AI sparks productivity improvements, companies don't pay all that out as wages and their profits go up, or other sort of cost savings are achieved due to AI or due to whatever, PEs can get more reasonable on the backs of rising earnings. That could keep stocks not only from falling, but help them to keep rising. So it all depends on the E and the PE.
What about the other side of the equation? What's the bad case?
The bad case is that it's never happened, that high PEs have never returned to Earth because E went up while P either didn't grow or only grew very slowly.
I just want to be clear of what you said.
Yeah, hopefully I said that right. Go
yes.
ahead.
No.
Okay.
Just you're saying that in situations in the past where we've had high PE ratios,
yeah,
those have never come down because earnings went up faster than prices.
No, it's never, not as, I'm comfortable with that statement. Yes, it's normally stocks hit an air pocket. Investors realize they were too optimistic. The P comes way down, and thus PE comes down.
Now, what we can see, and again, this is more on a micro level with individual stocks, you can see corrections in time versus corrections in price. And what I mean by that is, okay, you can see like the obvious case for a correction in price is stock A went from $100 to $400 and then back down to $200. That's a correction in price. The other thing that you can see sometimes is stock goes from $100 to $400 and then just stays at $400 for 5 years because there's no momentum to move it up, but the earnings are gradually improving, and then finally it's ready to move again.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually happen with indices. You don't usually see an index just sit somewhere for 5 years. Like it's just not how you see U.S. stocks as a whole move. So I think that the question in my mind, there is an interesting one in that, look, for the last 3 months, we've been very, very slowly grinding higher in the S&P. We're up about 1% from the October high, which, if you do the math out, represents like a 4% annual growth rate if that were to continue. This is happening against a backdrop where a couple of the Mag 7 names are struggling somewhat during that time. Microsoft, Meta have both been kind of lagging. A couple are just kind of chopping wood through there. Amazon and Apple. Apple more recently has kind of started to slide a bit. And Google is absolutely ripping to the top side. Despite all of that, you've got this broadening out that's happened in markets that people are trying to get excited about because, again, I get it. The conventional wisdom is, hey, you want a broader participation in the market. That's a sign of a healthier market. But because of the concentration of these few names, it's hard for the market as a whole to just, roar ahead if Microsoft is pulling back 10%, if Broadcom is pulling back 10%, if Nvidia is just flat. It's hard to get a market ripping ahead with like a third of it basically sitting there being like, no, we're not really participating. So I think ultimately the question on this, in my opinion, is one of two things needs to happen in order for the bull market to run. You either need AI to be that thing so that your tech stocks take off again, or the rest of the economy needs to strengthen enough such that the rest of the S&P can kind of plow forward, even if the AI trade is starting to come off a bit. I'm looking at it just a little bit more micro in terms of, hey, here's where we are. What are the paths forward? Because otherwise, you're going to run into the same thing that we've run into the last time that, the last couple times that small caps and banks and everything else have tried to lead, which is, no, we tried it, but we didn't really like it in August of 24. We tried it, but we didn't really like it in April of 25. Are you going to get something similar this year? I don't know. I don't know what this year develops into, but there is a path towards this bull market having room to run, and it's just a question of, do either of those, couple of questions get answered positively?
Yeah, I mean, we should be more worried about the big picture stuff, independent monetary policy, the strength and quality of our institutions. Those sound like high-minded, abstract things. Who cares? You may be thinking, I want to know what my stock's earnings are going to be in the upcoming quarter. And if you're only renting that stock, if you plan on getting out of that position soon, maybe that's the right mentality. But for most of us, the big question is, will the economy grow? And I'll just leave it at that without expanding. Will the economy grow as fast as it has over the past 25 years or even 50 years, say 2 or so percent per year? That's not per capita, but that is real. That is after inflation. Will it grow like that over the next 20 or 30 years or whatever my investment time frame is? And if so, can I expect publicly traded companies to participate in that growth to the extent that they have? We risk that growth by, and this is not a political statement, it's just a fact about our institutions. We risk that growth if we imperil independent monetary policy making because everybody thinks it was such a big part of the stability that we've enjoyed.
Piece in Bloomberg Opinion that has a title that I just find kind of comical. The AI bubble is getting closer to popping. Well, that's like, well, technically today I'm closer to dying than I was yesterday, but it still doesn't tell you anything actionable about what to do about that. The AI bubble's getting closer to popping. Well, when's it going to pop and how is it going to pop?
Yeah, a lot of questions begged by that title.
Beyond that, I actually read through the piece and I'm just sitting there and I'm just not sure that the facts are in evidence in this piece. It tries to say that tariff policy is slowing the construction of AI data centers, for which I don't actually see any evidence presented. It's also trying to make the case that immigration policy is slowing the construction of data centers. Again, I don't really see any evidence presented on that front.
They should, in theory, both those things should be true, but you're right. Yeah,
right, it's just like...
No, you're right. All else equal, yes.
But it's just like, there's nothing that I can look at to actually evaluate, hey, is this happening or not? Instead, it's just,
that's tough.
Well, this should be happening, but I just can't see anything that's conclusively stating that conclusion or getting to that conclusion. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we've got Wall Street Watch and the trivia answer after this.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
This is Michael Valila, Adjutant of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV of Massachusetts has helped me and countless others adjust to civilian life through a variety of incredible programs. Through our local Veterans Assistance Program, we provide necessary services to veterans and their communities, such as food shopping, landscaping, and companionship, but we need your support. You can help by making a donation today. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visit usvi.com.
Social Security and Medicare are oftentimes lumped together, but may be handled separately. And depending on your strategy, they could shape your entire retirement plan. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Choosing when to start Social Security has many effects, including determining the amount of guaranteed income you receive each month. Medicare decisions go beyond coverage as they can impact premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and access to providers throughout retirement. Our new guide is called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It will help you learn how these decisions may fit together and how to take the right steps at the right time to build a secure retirement plan. Call us at 800-393-4001 to get your copy of How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Tucker Silva, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutsky from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange legal quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about last-minute nursing home lessons that can help save your assets. Todd, more and more people are providing in-home care for their loved ones. Is there anything a care provider can do that would be beneficial to them or the family?
So if you're already providing care for an individual at home, and more people, as you said, are in fact doing that, the best thing to do is to set up a personal care contract, right? A personal care contract is something that allows you to get paid by your family member, and as long as you report it on your income tax return and prepare a personal care contract, make sure you get an elder law lawyer to help you prepare that contract because it's got to be done right. But if you do those two things, get the contract and provide the care and put the income on your income tax return, the transfers are non-disqualifying transfers. So even if you don't make the 5 years, those dollars that you're moving will not need to be returned and they will be protected. Also, while you're doing that, set up the trust and get the 5-year clock started. Put some assets in because you just never know if you're going to make it or not, and you would always want to have that 5-year clock running to protect your assets.
Cushing & Dolan has written a brand new guide, especially for those of you who have put off doing your planning and are now faced with a last-minute nursing home situation. Request this brand new guide from Cushing & Dolan. It's called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. You can call 866-848-5699, or you can simply request it from their website, legalexchangeshow.com. Once again, simply call 866-848-5699, or get it from their website at legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Markets are completely flat at the moment ahead of the conclusion to the Fed's meeting. While interest rates are widely expected to hold steady, Wall Street will closely be watching Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's press conference at 2:30. Wall Street's also readying for big tech earnings due out after the bell. Right now, the Dow is up only 48 points, about 0.1%. S&P 500 is completely flat. NASDAQ up only 8 points. Russell 2000 is down about 0.4%. 10-year Treasury yield up 3 basis points at 4.253%. And crude oil up nearly 0.9%, trading just below $63 a barrel. Chip sector garnering attention today due to a couple of items. ASML reported solid fourth quarter earnings with orders above analysts' expectations, while its 2026 sales forecast impressed. ASML shares are down, however, by about 2%. Separately, reports indicate that China has approved purchases of Nvidia's H200 AI chip for the first time, giving authorization to several of Nvidia's Chinese customers. Nvidia stock is up almost 2%. Meanwhile, Amazon said it would cut about 16,000 corporate jobs. This comes after the e-commerce giant announced layoffs back in October of about 14,000 jobs. Amazon stock is dipping over 0.5%. Elsewhere, Starbucks reported store traffic growth for the first time in 2 years, citing its turnaround efforts. However, shares are now pulling back after rallying in early trading. The stock is now up almost 2%. AT&T reported stronger than expected quarterly results, sending shares up 5%. Texas Instruments jumping 7% after reporting better than expected guidance for the current quarter. And after today's close, all eyes will turn to big tech, where Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and IBM will post their fourth quarter results. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And in the previous segment, we asked the trivia question, who is the random inclusion on the We Are the World single? That would be Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. Tim from Pittsfield, Mass. is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Congrats to Tim. We play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Couple housing stories that I want to talk about, Mark. First one from CNBC. Homebuyers are backing out of deals at the fastest pace in nearly a decade. According to Redfin, more than 40,000 signed home purchase agreements were canceled in December, representing 16.3% of all homes that went under contract. And I'm not sure that there's a ton of meat on this bone as far as it being a problem, because everything else in real estate data is pointing towards basically what we've been seeing for the last 6 to 12 months, which is the housing market slowly starting to recover balance, which right now is skewed heavily, towards sellers, but trying to, come back towards buyers in a number of markets, most notably Florida and Texas. And so I'm just not seeing anything that's like fresh new signs of concern in housing at this point, especially when you look at like the highest percentage of contract cancellations came in Atlanta. I don't think the Atlanta market is emblematic of anything at this point in particular.
You're not seeing it in the national price statistics. If this were a problem, you'd expect you could infer that there's some downward pressure on prices. You're not seeing that. These markets rose at extreme rates. This could just be, I don't know, I don't want to sound naive. I mean, maybe it is the beginning of a housing apocalypse in certain localities, but they may not be, like you said.
No, that's already begun. Like, again, you've got like Austin, Texas prices are down like 20%.
But
if you look at, Fort Myers prices, they're down almost 20%
after rising.
After rising
more
a ton.
I'll just say more than the national average.
I'm sorry, but
no offense.
Look, the way you get back to housing affordability is prices coming down.
Yeah, right.
Or prices coming down relative to incomes, which means that prices might stay flat, but incomes go up 3% for a few years, and that's how you get there. But it's going to be a process. Like, you don't just get to housing affordability with prices still going up. That's not really a thing.
I don't think so, unless real wages are going up faster,
right,
which is
unless
which
you're talking about
sound,
like Turkey or something like that, which is not an economy that I think we want to emulate.
Well, in terms of monetary policy, we're on our way, but yes, generally speaking, no.
If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands, enjoy crystal clear water and powder soft beaches, world-class dining and unforgettable sunsets, and here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the U.S., which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your days snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today at visitusvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Now, if you do want what I think is going to continue to become more of the conversation in the next year or two, it is insurance pricing. And basically, there's a piece in Barron's that gets it, I think, what is the crux of this, which is, look, the housing market has been locked up for the last couple of years. We've been seeing only about 4 million transactions a year from existing home sales, and normally you'd be seeing like 5 to 6 million as kind of the standard. So as such, there are far fewer people that are moving. And the big thing that happens when you move, particularly if you move to an entirely new geography, you get repriced completely differently from an insurance perspective. And so because we haven't had a lot of housing activity, people don't realize just how bad the insurance situation is out there. and it's likely going to come to a head in the next couple of years. I'm sure there are plenty of you listening who are saying, no, Chuck, I realize how bad it is. My premiums have gone up, 100% over the last few years in Florida or 30% over the last few years in the Midwest. Like, trust me, I know that you're feeling it, but not to the same extent. And so what you end up with here, though, is, look, as much as you might not like it, most people, if they get an insurance premium, adjustment or a premium hike that comes through, they kind of sit there and they're like, oh, I can't believe I have to pay an extra, $400 this year. I really don't like it, but fine, whatever. The big shift happens when you move somewhere different and you're sitting there and you're going, wait, my insurance costs were $2,500 a year. Now I'm moving and they're going to $3,700. And this is some of the reason why you may start to see an uptick in home purchase application cancellations, simply because when you're going through the pre-approval process, you're getting approved for a loan from a bank to go and say, yes, you can borrow X dollars to go and buy this house. What you're not doing during that pre-approval is getting an insurance quote. And quite honestly, we could make a case that maybe insurance quotes need to be part of a pre-approval process, but it's neither here nor there. What then happens is once your offer is accepted, you go out and you say, okay, I need to go and get my insurance quote before, deadline XYZ in order to keep moving forward. And this is where the process is breaking down, where someone might be expecting, hey, the insurance quote is going to come in at, $4,000 because that's what they're used to. And then it comes in at $8,000 and they're like, okay, we're not moving. If the insurance cost is moving up that much, this is going to become much more part of the conversation in the next year or two as we see the home market unlocking a little bit and higher resale volume starting to tick through. It's going to come with some of these sticker shocks on new insurance premiums, and that's going to be something that gets a whole bunch of people, more upset because the prices are only moving in one direction.
According to the PPI, which has a subcategory for premiums for property and casualty insurance, homeowners insurance has increased at an annual rate, this is average, of 4.5% since 2020. I'm going from January 2020 to actually through November of 2021, so I'm dropping a month at the end, but this is close enough. That's faster than overall inflation, which has increased at a 3.8% rate over the same period. I bring that up for two reasons. I guess just the comparison might be worthwhile noting. I don't know, but nobody's surprised that premium inflation has outpaced.
And that was over
inflation.
What period?
I went back to January 2020, and I took the change in the index. The index is just a number, so you take the change and then you can annualize that, which is what I did here. I did that for both CPI, which again, 3.78% is the change in CPI over the 6-year period ending the end of last year, versus 4.5%, rounding a little for homeowners insurance. I'm a little surprised because I thought the change in homeowners insurance, the rate, I should say, would have the rate of inflation in insurance would have been higher, but. Cumulatively, it's 5 percentage
that's
points.
Still like 30%.
It's 5%.
Basically.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So that's still a bit and certainly if you look at certain markets, it's obviously
that's the
higher
average.
than that.
That's the average.
And I'm guessing that there's something on a methodology standpoint where I'm sure there's huge estimation there. I know just for CPI as an example, CPI has a huge footnote in it. It's basically a whole document that you can read on their health insurance calculation, just as an example. And the CPI health insurance document basically says we can't actually generate, a real reading of what health insurance is changing at because there's so many different permutations of what's going on. It could be, okay, your premium stays flat, but your deductible goes way up, and your copays go down, but your out-of-pocket max goes up. So the CPI basically is we make a really, probably good best guess estimate at it, but we don't know what's going on.
No, you're right. You can see even more variations in terms of options and riders on homeowners insurance.
Right. It's you've got, do you want any wind coverage versus, wind and hail versus, what's your deductible on, other damage? Do you want anything for water? Do you want anything for, electronics? Do you have any kind of riders attached to it? There's no way to actually do a...
Yeah, you're right.
You can't...
Right. I see your
Pardon
point.
the pun, but you can't do an apples-to-apples comparison. I can look at the price of apples this year and compare it to last year. You can't do that with homeowners insurance because there's so many different permutations.
Why is that a pun?
Apples to apples?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Why is it? What are we punning?
I'm saying you can't do an apples to apples comparison. It actually is an apples to apples. Maybe it's not a pun. Maybe it's just a.
I missed that part.
I don't know. It's
like an inception of puns.
It's an incept pun. God. Man, that sucked. Let's take a break to wash that out of our mouth, and we'll come back with something better after this.
The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132, weekdays from 11 to noon. Get the latest business and financial news from across the country and around the world, and keep up to date on how it might affect your wallet. That's the Financial Exchange, weekdays from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Social Security and Medicare are oftentimes lumped together, but may be handled separately. And depending on your strategy, they could shape your entire retirement plan. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong from the Armstrong Advisory Group. Choosing when to start Social Security has many effects, including determining the amount of guaranteed income you receive each month. Medicare decisions go beyond coverage as they can impact premiums, out-of-pocket costs, and access to providers throughout retirement. Our new guide is called How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. It will help you learn how these decisions may fit together and how to take the right steps at the right time to build a secure retirement plan. Call us at 800-393-4001 to get your copy of How to Apply for Social Security and Medicare. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online from our website, armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. From the elder law attorneys at Cushing & Dolan, here's something you need to hear. Most people think long-term care planning is something they'll get to someday, until suddenly someday is today. When a spouse or parent needs nursing home care and no planning was done, the costs can be overwhelming. Cushing & Dolan are elder law and estate planning attorneys who help New England families protect their homes, savings, and retirement, even when a health crisis comes out of nowhere. They've just released a new guide called Long-Term Care Planning for Procrastinators. It explains what options may still be available and what steps you should take before writing that first check to a nursing home. If you've been putting this off, or a loved one needs care right now, time matters. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 to get your free guide. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online by visiting LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. If you've been dreaming about a getaway that feels far away but easy to get to, it's time to think about the U.S. Virgin Islands, America's Caribbean. This is a place where you can fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Enjoy crystal clear water and powder-soft beaches, world-class dining, sailing, and unforgettable sunsets. And here's the best part. Travel from New England is easy. The U.S. Virgin Islands are part of the United States, which means no passport required and no money to exchange. Just pack your bags and go. Spend your day snorkeling, sailing, hiking, or simply relaxing by the water, and your evenings enjoying local cuisine, live music, and warm island breezes. Explore St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix, 3 distinct islands, each with its own vibe, its own flavor, and its own way of helping you unplug and reset. Start planning your Caribbean escape today and visit usvi.com. Discover why the U.S. Virgin Islands are America's Caribbean paradise. For more information and to book your trip, head to visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up.
Because we have something better.
Stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit GoRedForWomen.org today to learn more.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
The Financial Exchange Show podcast drops every day on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. You're listening to the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. The DAV 5K raised over $150,000 last year, but we still need your help. You can support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. Your participation helps provide vital services like free transportation to medical appointments and safe housing for single veterans and their families. Donate today at dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Mark, what do you got for Stack Roulette?
Now, we all know the dollar has weakened this year. It's not necessarily alarming. It just means it takes fewer foreign currency units, if you will, lesser amounts of foreign currency to buy a dollar. There's an ebb and flow in currency markets, and there are complicated factors that are behind movements in the dollar. But it probably didn't help the dollar. You don't necessarily want the dollar to go up or down, and over time there's no real trend in the price of the dollar relative to other currencies. But traditionally, presidents and members of the executive branch have not commented on the value of the dollar other than to say a strong dollar is in the U.S.'s interest, as Bob Rubin used to say, Clinton's Treasury Secretary. The president came out yesterday and said he thought that what is happening to the dollar was, quote, great. That gave some people, and it's been declining, so it takes more dollars to buy, say, euros or whatever. It's actually a little more subtle than that, but I'll just leave it at that. The president said it was great. That was interpreted by some to mean he favors further weakening of the dollar because that would make exports more competitive. So there's a reason for that. It also makes imports more expensive and can drive up inflation, and it can destabilize capital flows. So not helpful to have a excessively volatile dollar either way. Treasury Secretary came out this morning, you may have seen this, saying the U.S. has a strong dollar policy. He elaborated a little bit, which is unfortunate, but at least he said it. And that seemed to allay fears that the administration was going to say jawbone the dollar down, which would be disruptive and potentially inflationary.
I don't think there's any... You know, look, here's the thing. Two things I think are true at the same time. Look, the U.S. dollar has gone through a very brief, sharp drop in its value. It's gone from, the dollar index has gone from around 99.5 down to 96.5. So about a 3% drop in the span of a week, which is a sizable move. I mean, that's hauling. Like, let's make no bones about it. But this is happening. Like, if you just look at this across different asset classes and try to make sense out of what's happening here, it's not investors fleeing out of U.S. stocks. Nope. U.S. stocks, like the S&P 500 closed at a new all-time high yesterday. So, like, let's get rid of like the panic noise around this. It certainly, I think, given the fact that global stocks have been outperforming U.S. stocks over the last week, does speak to, at least in the short term, a preference to allocate additional flows globally, but that could also be just because the global economy is showing signs of recovery after a tough 2025. It's not necessarily related to, anything about anything else. At the same time, there certainly are concerns on the margins that we've discussed about, hey, if the dollar does start to become, less of a safe haven for international investors because of policy disagreements, whether it be on tariffs or Greenland or whatever else it may be, then yes, you could see at the margin capital flows start to shift. But to this point, if this were really about, investors are pulling their capital out of the U.S.,
No.
You would be seeing it in stocks and bonds, and you are not seeing it in stocks and bonds.
No, there are a lot of players in foreign exchange.
I know, but I see these hysterical things online, these pieces that are like, it's, investors are fleeing the dollar. Well, they might be fleeing the dollar, but they're not fleeing dollar-denominated assets.
No.
And that's an important thing that I think is worth pointing out here is if this were really capital flight, U.S. stocks would not be holding up the way they were.
I don't think we'll ever see capital flow.
No, but it's being talked about.
Yeah, that's irresponsible.
And it is irresponsible.
Well, there are lots of players in the foreign exchange market. There's commercial banks that affect transactions for companies. Some of these have nothing to do with concerns about policy or U.S. safe haven status, worries about debt, which are ongoing
Some
anyway.
of it's just, hey, we're like a European company that's investing in Africa, and we need to convert some dollars into whatever currency we're using,
Exactly. At the same time, though, gold and other metals popping does suggest there may be deeper forces. I don't want to
Except
be
that they're popping in
dismissive
all
of-
currencies. It's not just
No,
in
you're
the
right.
dollar.
Thank you. No, you're right.
That's the thing. The cross-asset signals are not telling you that this is purely a dollar story. We're going to take a quick break for the next 24 hours. Fed meeting and a bunch of earnings that we're going to cover tomorrow. Make sure you tune in.